All right, so we have the amazing Sue Hitzman here. I need to change the view, right? The view of the presenter. So Sue,
Yeah.
yesterday Zoom sent out different numbers for the meetings for some reason, and we could not access all of. People couldn't get on, and I guess people don't check the email first thing because I sent out one right away. But they will be on recording, and we'll send out the recording. Yesterday was magical. Seriously, Stacey Lee was just totally blew my mind. So I just want to say that this group that we have here, you got my Tracy in South Africa. We got Debbie. And where are you, Deb? You're out in Indiana, or so. It's a very special energy and frequency right now. Every single time I got overwhelmed, I would stop and say, "You know this," and guess what? I did. I totally knew it. So I'm going to go ahead and let you just get on with what you'd love to share with us, Sue, because I know one of the reasons why I really asked you, and by the way, I don't want to seem like a crazy person, but in your classes, I just want to let you know that I would laugh my head off, okay? I would laugh my ass off because I said, if you ever lose your job, you need to go stand-up comedy. Because people would be like, and I'd be sitting there laughing like a crazy person. Everyone's looking at me like, "Well, is she mad?" But it was hilarious. So that was one of the main things, because sense of humor is everything to me. But your way of explaining everything that you do so clearly and carefully, and I mean, just the whole concept of it is mind-blowing. So I personally believe, and I think I'm quite an expert at knowing what's true and what's long, is that you are one of the world experts on fascia, and it is the most, and again, just like everything else that goes over people's heads, we can't wait to learn more about your experience and how we need to figure it out with our tissues. So, Sue, with that, thank you for being here.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Nice to see everybody. Thanks for having me. What do you want me to share? Just what melt is, what it is?
Yes, I would like you to, I'm just trying to see how to put you on the big picture. But anyway, let's just go from there. So, okay, as you all can see here, I have Sue's 2 New York best-selling books right here. And there's Sue's. And I have this fantastic roller, and I cannot stress enough how much I love this, and her handball treatments. And, you know, so you...
I mean, I can share like a little bit. So I create, right. So I don't know if you guys know what.
You had a terrible loss last year, and I really identified, and I promise you, I cried every single day with you on your process. I did, because I kind of went through a little bit the same thing when I went through a loss where I didn't actually lose somebody to life, but I lost them as they may as well have been gone. So I just want you to share how it was for you to share with us. You helped us more than
yeah. So first of all, you know, melt in and of itself, I developed melt. I've been in the fitness industry for my whole life since I'm 16. And I think that in my 20s, after I got a master's in physiology and anatomy, and I had been in fitness for so long, I got into doing neuromuscular therapy. I thought I was so smart about the human body, and you know, knew all the ins and outs of it. I was working with a lot of athletes and things and getting them back out on the field faster. And in my late 20s, I woke up and I had this unusual pain in the bottom of my foot that I didn't have an identifiable source of. I hadn't done anything out of the ordinary. At first I thought I might have stepped on a piece of glass or something. And that moment of my life was sort of a snowball effect of me veering out of the fitness industry and more deeply into the healing arts to understand what causes pain to become chronic. And what I can tell you is that although 100% of the time our brain is what's producing our sense of pain, if you have a chronic issue, whether it be a physical manifestation, a joint injury, a body pain, or you have emotional pain, you have an ethereal pain, you have spiritual pain, you're feeling the heartache or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what's causing your brain to send the alarm. 100% of the time our brain is what's producing our sense of pain. But I always say if pain is chronic, you have an issue in your connective tissue. It's not just in your mind, because connective tissue is the stability fabric of our body. It's what's supporting, protecting, and stabilizing all aspects of our body. It's what keeps your skin looking smooth. It keeps your organs tucked back in your belly. It is what gives your joint shock absorption. But it also, on a neurological level, it is what helps to enhance the nervous system's ability to function efficiently. And daily living accumulates what I call stuck stress. And it can manifest itself in a myriad of ways, whether, again, it's physical or emotional, it doesn't matter. But as the mental and physical accumulation of stress compounds our body's natural ability to create, rest, and repair breaks down. And for me, what I can tell you is that, years later, is actually when I wrote the second book, I had shared what I think actually caused me that initial chronic pain was my dad had not yet been diagnosed with cancer, but I think my body felt his spirit departing before he was even diagnosed. And I think that was the catalyst. And a year later, I had riddling pain. He got sick and died. And it was just a real aha moment for me that actually I think emotional trauma and emotional pain can cause more physical issues than, falling down flight of stairs, because we don't really talk about the emotional components of our history. And whether you believe in past lives or whatever, I always say, I'm sure I've been here 1,000 times before. In fact, I know that I have. But even if you don't believe that, because this life is plenty to have to deal and endure with. And oddly enough, 20 years after my father died, I was married 5 years ago to this beautiful guy whom I was just utterly in love with. We had this wonderful relationship. And he was 25 years into sobriety. And I mean, unless they make a 12-step just for my husband, there was a little bit of a, what are you doing over there kind of a moment. And watching him struggle in his own lies, I also witnessed him with body pain and repeated surgeries and taking opiates, and then ultimately dying of a fentanyl and heroin overdose, which is just if that doesn't make you just want to die yourself. I mean, it was just so heartbreaking, and watching the diminishment of that. And what it did was it sent me right back into the frequency of grief. And so I just went right back into the spiritual components that I learned in the late 90s when my dad died, were people like Jack Kornfield and Ram Dass and Thich Nhat Hanh, and trying to understand how the spiritual break and the duality that we all deal with, that we have to come back to the oneness of everybody, that one person's heartbreak is everyone's heartbreak, one person's success is everyone's success. And the only way that you can overcome grief and come back to joy, even in your grieving times, is to come back to being very aware of the self, and that you have to go into your body and sense what you feel. And it really is the foundation of the MELT method. Is, again, I reflect back to my previous, when I was in my 20s and I was in so much pain, I was crawling to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I was completely disillusioned with the fitness industry. I'd done everything right. I had the body everybody said that they wanted. I was eating a pristine diet. I was exercising daily. And I was waking up in the morning feeling like my body was 80 years old. And so something was missing. And awareness is the thing that if you drop in and you come into a more deep state of self, you suddenly realize that we've got a lot of emotional, spiritual, and ethereal healing to do before our physical body can actually come to a place of calm and ease. And we miss that because we're not taught how to nurture the essence of self, the essence of who, you know, beyond my ego. It's not about who am I. I'm Sue Hitzman. I'm the creative mom method. I'm a female. I live in New York City, right? That's my egos identifying with me. But what I am is a spirit occupying a body and using this mind to facilitate a human experience. And if you come to that, I think that it brings us to a place of gratitude and joy that then is the door that allows us to go inward and really sense what we feel. Because when we're in pain, we don't want to feel anything. We want to tune it out, which was what my husband was doing, was tuning it out, doing, you know, like where he was such an exhibitionist in one breath, he was also this person trying to escape from who he was. And he wanted to be so good for me. He wanted me to be able to heal him because I could heal everything. And what I can tell you is nobody can heal you, only you can heal yourself. And so together, I think that's where Melt is so beautiful, is that it incorporates a mindful-based mindful meditation practice and breath work with self-myofascial and rehydration techniques to calm the mind, to restore the body's connection, and to bring us back to a state where we can heal efficiently. Because, you know, stress is a part of life, but if we can enhance our body's natural repair processes, I think that we can overcome a lot of the things that we think we're stuck with. And that's kind of my journey and experience to be here and to be always frequently asked to sort of share messages beyond rolling.
Right. So, Sue, the thing that I really, really saw, that you processed this so fast, and the dichotomy between the two of us, was that it took me over 20 years to even face it and even acknowledge what I was shoving down and trying to, you know, put a happy face on, that it was so deeply into myself that I ended up hating myself with such an amazing passion. And it's, you know, you talk about the power of words and everything, but we do laugh about it now. We laugh about it now, how I couldn't go to the store. And if people see me now, they would never believe that for almost 5 years, I couldn't walk up a driveway. I couldn't do anything. And here I was, a fitness instructor, being a total fake and like, you know, because I couldn't identify with who I was, because I wasn't me, you know, I wasn't what I looked like I was. And so when you really hate yourself, you're actually quite terrible to yourself. Like, you treat yourself really badly.
We're the best at treating ourselves the worst. I always say, you know, when you look in the mirror and you do self-loathing, stop and think, if that was your best friend and someone that you love, would you ever talk to your best friend and call him a fucking asshole and you suck and you're ugly and you smell funny and nobody likes you and, you know, you're worthless and you can't get anything done? We would never say that. Yet I'm always like, I'm the best critic of myself. I could bash myself for days, but honestly, it serves no purpose. It really doesn't. We are taught to shame ourselves and to grieve silently. And what I think losing Christopher did for me was it was a risk for me, right? I went out and I wrote.
Oh, it's such a huge, yeah.
Yeah, I put it out there as raw as I could. I would write all morning. I'd write for an hour, and then I would take a piece of my journal and I would put it out for people. And my intention of doing that was because I know I have a voice in healing, and I know that I'm not alone in grief, that other people have grieved deeper than me, I'm sure, and we get stuck in it. We get stuck in the grief because we don't allow it to express itself. And the opposite of love is fear, not hate. It's fear. We fear the unknown. We fear our future, right? But if you come to the present moment and you're here with yourself and you share your grief, you realize that there's no duality, that it's oneness. And what I found when I started sharing were the private messages that I got from people sharing their pain stories and their loss stories, and seeing the words of hope in the grief that I would put out as being hope back to them. And people saying, I wish somebody could have told me these things when I lost my husband, when I lost my brother, when I lost my mom. Why why don't we talk about this? And I say, it's the same thing with addiction. My husband's family wants people to believe that he had a neurological disorder and just fell asleep. And I was bad. I'm the bad one, right? I killed him because, I finally put my foot down and said, I need you to admit to what you're doing and apologize for it and go back to your 12 steps and we can overcome it, or not. And if it's not, then I'm just going to step aside, because if I'm the cause, right? That's what he was saying. I caused this. I said, if I'm the bad guy, I'll step aside and let's see what happens as you go without me. And he died. And so that is it could shatter someone. It could shatter me, right? It could shatter.
Yeah, and most women would blame themselves because guess that's what we do.
Well, and his family does too. His family's like, she's bad. And I couldn't speak at my own husband's funeral, right? So there's all of that anger and all of that emotion that could get charged into this. And what I do is I look at that and I just have to hold compassion for my husband, because if I grew up in a family like that, I'd be a drinker too. So you have to look at the big picture of all sides of stories, that it's never a one-sided story. And then I look at myself, what did I do that could have brought him to a place of breaking down like this? And I think, well, he was always using, and what I was an interruption in him hoping he could finally stop. And I think he was like a pressure cooker. And he was trying so hard to be good that then it just exploded and interrupted because he just couldn't. And that is a spiritual wound that is deeper and needed a lot more insight and a lot more look-see. And unless you're willing to do the work, grief, sorrow, shame, and fear will consume you and destroy your life. But if you realize that you're not alone in your grief or your suffering, and we have a choice to suffer, and if we come together as a community, which is what I did, I created a Melt Tribe, right? People coming together to want to heal. And when you realize that you're actually in a network of people, that you don't fear asking for help anymore. And in the ask of help is the door to awareness and healing. You have to realize that you're never alone in your suffering. And that's hard for people to wrap their mind around, because when you're in pain or you're suffering, you feel alone. And that's the trick, that's the hook, is that we feel alone, but we aren't. And the more you realize that when you need help, help is there. And many of us are just willing to just give help. I mean, I give help all the time.
It's so brilliant hearing you say, call somebody today, reach out to somebody, because again, getting back to the aging process, and it's funny you should talk about frequency, because Debbie's going to come and talk about the frequency unit after this. But aging is one of those things that is like having a baby, I guess. You will never ever know what it's like unless you actually go through the process, right?
It's not a disease or a disorder, it's just happening right
now. So all of these things that we have to get there before we can say, hey, this is what it's like and this is what you're going to do to change the process for yourself, so that we can know. Like when somebody says to a college student, put money in your account and start saving for whatever now, which is what I believe we should do with our muscle memory bank, right?
Yeah.
You start to deposit in your muscle memory bank from the earliest time possible, because you can't believe what's in there when you really look. Mm-hmm. And when I tell my seniors to go to the filing cabinet, literally in their mind, walk over, pull out the drawer, go in and search for the time when you ran like the wind on the beach, when the wind was going through your hair. And when they're standing in front of their chairs with their feet in the chocolate and their zips up and their corsets on and their crowns, and they start to run with their feet stuck in the chocolate and then go in there in their mind, they totally run and they tell me where they went.
Yeah.
So the connection between the emotions and the brain doesn't know the difference between what it sees and what it remembers. That's how we get to people who, according to me, when I was in the pit with the big black dog for 5 years, you don't want to get out. Your friends are trying to send you ropes down, but you're so busy digging that you're not even looking up anymore. You literally want to keep just going down and dig as deep as you can. You literally hate yourself so much that you won't even look in the mirror. Seriously, it's actually laughable when you think of what we actually do to each other. I mean, to ourselves.
You know,
Ourselves, and we're actually also doing it to each other. Plus, COVID right now has made us realize that we are so connected.
yes, we are. And I mean, I can't remember the book that I read, but this, he's a man from Ireland, and he said, you know, in a day you have 38,000 conversations, and 37,994 of them are with yourself. It's all in your head, right? You have 4 conversations with real people, but we're constantly in a state of chatter. And one of the things that I caught myself, you know, I talked about this with a friend the other day, is that we're so good at ruminating, right? We're so good at going back into the past to try to fix something back there, and you can't. And so you get stuck into the minutia. And when my husband died, what I caught myself going back into the past and being like, you know, why didn't he do this? And when he did that, and why didn't I do this? And then I stopped and I would say out loud to myself, Sue, what's your problem right now? Not then. What's your problem right now? And I'd say, I don't have a freaking problem. Then stop going into the past to find one, because it's not helping the present moment. And the thing about the past is it's the past, right? It's inventory. It's something to learn from, not something to go back to keep putting into the present moment. You look at it, and the best thing you can do is look at yourself today. You know, I'll give you an example. Like when I was in, I guess it was in the 90s, and I'm working at Reebok Sports Club. And I had been there for 4 years. I was teaching 28 aerobic classes a week. I'd never asked for a raise. And I walked into my boss's office, and I walked in with my fist, and I said, I need a raise. I've been working here. I do a good job. And you should give it to me. And he looked at me, he goes, why are you asking me with an iron fist, like I'm going to say no? And I thought to myself, why am I talking that way? Oh, you know why? It's because when I was a kid, my dad, if ever I wanted something, I would have to go downstairs and ask him. And the answer was always no. It didn't matter what it was, the answer was no. And so I was just so used to anything I wanted, I wasn't going to get. And I was then living my life in the present moment as if I was talking to my dad, and he's dead. He wasn't even there. So it's like, what am I doing? And that's it, is that when we say, I hate myself, what we're doing is actually, no, we're trying so deeply to love ourselves and reclaim the part of us that we have shut down, pushed away, locked into a safe for no more to see, because we've layered it over with all these layers of an onion that are smelly and moldy, and we got to peel those suckers off and get back to the root of us. And I think that the beauty is, if you go into yourself and you just get really, really quiet, and you close your eyes and you close your field, you put your feet on the floor, right? You put your hands on you and you breathe, and you realize that the one autonomic system, the one autonomic function that you can quickly take over, the only one, is your breathing. And it turns out it's the most important one, because if you stop breathing, you're no longer alive, right? So if I can then focus on my breathing and say to myself, I give myself this breath, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. I'm sorry I've been gone so long, but now that I'm back, I promise I'll stay. And you stay in your body, and every day you come back in and you thank yourself for being patient with this mind, because your mind is just a 4-pound big weight of mess, and it lies to us, and it fabricates crap all the time, and we can see a glass half full or half empty, right? So we have to go back in and sometimes just pause and say, wow, I'm really having a feeling about this. Well, why would I have such a feeling about this? Oh, I know why. Because when I was a kid, every time I went downstairs to my dad, the answer was always no. This is why I'm acting this way today. And if you can catch those, if you can catch the hooks that bring you back into the past and make you react in the present moment in a not good way for yourself, what you'll realize is it's because you're not in the present moment. Half the time we're not even listening to the people talking to us, because we're feeling like we're being talked at, not to, right? And the idea here is that if you can recognize that the self of you is full of love, and it's full of joy, and it's full of beauty, it's just that we haven't allowed ourselves to be in the present moment and exercise that right. We're in the past, we're worried too much about the future. But if you come back to the present moment, you just ask yourself, what's my problem right now? Your answer might be, I don't really have a problem right now. Right? I don't have a problem. I'm hanging out with you guys. I don't got a problem.
If you listen to yourself actually speak, right? And I started singing a little song to myself. As I say it, so it shall be. That's how the magic works for me. That I can keep reminding myself. And when I listen to other people, I literally sometimes I'll sing it right back at them immediately, because we don't understand. We're making a spell. We are casting a spell. We're putting it out there. And I like to think of it as throwing a rock in the water, right? How big's your rock? How many times are you going to throw that rock? And you must know those ripples go like a butterfly flutter. They just keep going. So I know that I've thrown rocks that ripples have actually reached the Atlantic. Like they went all the way from here to South Africa already. Which is okay, like, because there's a dust storm, that's coming all the way across the ocean. Can you believe that things could do that? That you can blow dust from Africa in the Sahara that'll reach the east coast of America. Everything's happening right now that we're all sending. We know this other aspect of the subject that some people don't want to woo-woo go into at all.
Energy, frequency, or you can use those words, energy.
Yeah, muscle testing and all that, right?
There's another word, it's called physics. And it's a real thing, energy. You are in an energy field. You're an energy bubble. Are you kidding? We are a neuromyofascial electrical chemical system, right? Your body reacts chemically. It can react and electrically and through blood, right? We are in an electrical system times 10. We are electrical fields. And, you're really hitting on a big point here, Anne. On a universal level, right now, for whatever reason, the way that the planets are aligned, there is a very glaring line in the road that's happening. And either you're going to go the road of sticking to the negative and focusing on the negative, or you're going to realize that the negative is there to push us to spiritual enlightenment, to having a bigger human experience, to oneness over duality. And it's right here in front of us. And that's why the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter, the coronavirus, and all this stuff happening. It's on off. Waking us up. Get up, pay attention, right?
And also, there's never ever been a time that there's just nobody has not been affected by this. Nobody. There's not been one person on the globe that's not been affected by it in every single way. So now we're getting to figure out all kinds of different, things that, that might be people asking you what the link is. So, yeah, you know what? I just don't understand, because I sent it out this morning to every single body who signed up, and maybe they just didn't check their morning email, but it's there, so you can send it. But the other wonderful thing about getting older is that we get wisdom or not. I mean, that's one thing that you can choose with age, right? You can't choose to not get the wrinkles and not get the, whatever, but you can choose to have wisdom or not.
Yes, right? Bruce Lipton says, if you can take a memory and cut the emotions, that's wisdom, right? If you keep an emotion to a memory, that'll consume you and cause rumination. Take the emotions out of your memories, that's wisdom right there.
Well, unless they're good, then keep them. Unless they're really fantastic, then keep them. And that's what we do. We file things in a filing cabinet, don't we? Whether they're emotions or grudges or, like points, that we somehow do as the human experience does. So if you want to go ahead and copy and paste the link, or you want to tell me, I'll send it to them so that they can join. But all of this is going to be recorded. I'm going to put it all 3 days of it on so that everybody can access this information. And Sue, please go ahead and tell us. What we'll do also is I will put the links for all of your information and where people can get a hold of you, because that's not really the point here. What we're doing is we're creating a conversation about the aging process and all the other things. It's so funny because that's another thing why we kind of like this, because my mom always used to say I never fell on my mouth as a child, which means that, you know, we just let it out there. And it's fantastic because it's part of why we are who we are and why we get to say the things that we do. But I love that we can approach this with the attitude that we know that there's so many things to do about changing the way that you age, because we can't change the aging process. People say, oh, well, you shouldn't say age, you should just say stay younger longer. No,
well, we don't know if we can make you live longer, because you know that you'd have to go through your whole life, die, come back, and then do something else and see if it made you live longer. How the hell do I know? I don't know. But what I can tell you is if you sip water frequently, you eat water-filled foods, you get to sleep, you use an eye mask, you try to sleep 8 hours, you find joy and love in your life, go hug a tree, hug a person, call one person and connect to a real human being every single day. Bring kindness to the world. You will live a better life. I'm going to be 50 this year. I feel like going into 50, I feel better than I did going into 30, right? You know, and it's a big joy and opportunity to realize that there's just a lot of life after 50 that when I was a kid looking at 50, that sounded like old. And now I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell am I 50? Because I feel like I'm more like 15. So I'm not sure, you know, where am I going to go later? And that's it is, you know, stay connected to me. I'm on Instagram. You can go to Melt Method. I do lives all the time on Instagram, on our Facebook, on the Melt Method fan page. If ever you have a question about something specific, I'm always talking about like the wide array of things. I mean, and again, I share from my heart. Yeah. And then the Melt Method website, I have a streaming app. I put out a brand new video every week in the categories of pain, performance, and lifestyle. So if you have a body pain problem, a knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, you can learn how to address that through what we call the indirect before direct approach. So learning how to systematically move fluids toward areas of dysfunction to create resolution. We do it for sports. If you're an athlete, there's prep maps and recovery maps. And then for those of us with the lifestyles, we're sitting at a desk all day, there's maps for trying to return your butt, just like Ann did with the nice booty squeeze. What a great thing that is. It's like, I think the point that I heard you say was that it really just doesn't take a lot to care for yourself. And the beauty of Melt is 10 minutes a day. Just commit to 10 minutes a day. That is 100% you. Before you pick up your phone, before you check your emails, before you do anything, before your feet hit the ground, drink a glass of water, say I love me, thank you for another day to experience myself and to give joy to the world. And then get out there on your day and do something for yourself before you have to do everything for everyone else. And I'm telling you, you'll live a better, more happy, joyful, less in pain life. That's my experience of it. And listen, if pain does come your way, you get into an accident or you have an illness, shit happens and it's a bummer, but you'll heal better if your fascial tissue is hydrated and your nervous system can up and down regulate stress to repair and digestion. It's a winning ticket. So, you know, check out Melt. You'll love it. It's easy to do. Anybody can do it. The products are soft. It feels good when you do it. And it's, you know, it's just for anybody at any age. So I hope that you guys all do check it out. And, you know, yeah, thanks.
You articulate what the definition of fascia again, because I love when you just put that out there, because it's just so perfect.
Yeah, fascia is a three-dimensional fluid-based matrix under your skin. It is an inseparable fluid and collagen system that infuses from your skin through your muscle fascia, through the myofascia, through your bones. It interpenetrates your organs. It is everywhere. It's in your eyes, it's in your mouth, it's everywhere. There's nothing in your body that isn't connected through fascia. And what we know with fascia is daily living causes cellular dehydration in the tissue. It alters the fluid perfusion through the whole matrix. And even if you don't have pain, you've all experienced connective tissue dehydration, like when you sit for like an hour and you get up and you feel like you aged 40 years because your joints don't move as well as they did when you sat down. that feeling of stiffness that disappears when you get up and you move away, it doesn't really go away. That's the accumulation of the breakdown of the collagen to fluid bindings and fascia. So if you melt your hands, you melt your feet, you do any region of your body, compression or pull in organized ways will help to move the fluid perfusion from fascia to lymph. And what Anne's talking about with aging, remember your lymphatic system is your immune health. It's your aging health, right? So if you want to improve your health span, keeping the fluid perfusion of fascia, of the interstitial fluids from fascia into lymph is what's going to help to support the lymphatic flow, junk dump toxins and waste out of your body more efficiently, and it'll keep you feeling more youthful as you age, because that's what breaks down is our immune system as we age. The glia, the neurotransmitters, our microbiomes, they break down if you don't care for them. And if anybody here is over the age of 40, get to it. Get to it, ladies. Do it.
That's what we're having today after Debbie. She's going to talk about the DHEA that we can supplement in our bodies and affect the aging process, and actually do a blood test to have a baseline and see how it actually does, because this is scientific. It's not, this is the medical.
It's real. That is real stuff, no doubt.
Yep. And then so it's so complex, isn't it? And it's beautiful because we're actually moving into a different thing. So Elizabeth Peru, who I follow on Facebook, and she talks about the cosmic, and she also talks about the Schumann resonance, which apparently spiked to about 90 hertz, 90 hertz. And if any of you know about it, it's regularly in the textbooks. You can look it up. It's 7.83. So that's kind of a spike. It's kind of like when I tell fitness people that this unit with a microcurrent can increase your ATP, which is your energy in every mitochondria of every cell, by 500%. The percentage of that is mind-blowing. So when I tell fitness people, like by attaching yourself to a frequency unit, you can increase your ATP by 500%. I don't, it's like, wait, what? Because, what are we doing instead? Steroids, Red Bull. What else do people take for the energy part of it when they go exercise? I mean, you can find a range of things like you cannot believe, but why would you use any? And now there's all kinds of like little personal units you can clip on yourself and whatever. But again, it's a modality. It's a modality. You got, again, I think I'm so super powered at picking the best of the best, because there's no other rolling program. There's no other drumming program than what we saw with Carrie Eakins yesterday. There's no other barefoot program that Stacey brought us yesterday. That's a superpower of mine. I will totally admit it and take it in right now.
Indeed.
So do you have anything else you want to share with us? Because I'm happy to continue the conversation at some later date, and I would love to be able to have you back at some point to explore the conversation a little bit further, because I think a lot of, and by the way, I was going to mention culture. Culture is huge when it comes to showing your weaknesses and all of that. Because I can remember if I'd have gone through what I did when my mom was alive, I can hear it was, oh, come on, just pull yourself together now. Go, right? And here you are, you're like, oh my God, I can't even, yeah, all right. And when you've got something that's mind-based, you don't have a limp, you don't have a scar, you don't have a cast. So everyone's looking at you going, what's the matter?
Yeah, she's faking it. It must be she's faking it. She just wants attention. I heard that they're like, yeah, everybody thinks that I'm just making it up. And I'm like, oh, I get it, but we know you're not making it up.
And then you start beating on yourself because what's the matter with you as well? Like, you ask yourself, am I okay? Do I have a roof? Do I have food? Or am I okay? Am I right now in this moment? And you go, yeah, but.
Indeed. Well, I mean, again, I look forward to seeing you guys on my page, and just, pop in from time to time to the Melt Method Facebook or Instagram page, like those two, and just keep your eye open. I mean, probably 2 or 3 times a week I do a live, so there's lots of stuff. Yeah, I'm going to go off to treat. I'm going to go do a healing session for a friend here at 1:30. So I'm gonna head out and say I love you guys. And
thank you so much, Sue. We really appreciate it. I love that you came into our living room today.
I'll see y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.